Every day, thousands of ships move silently across the world's oceans. They carry oil, food, electronics, cars, clothing, raw materials that keep entire industries alive. Nearly 90% of global trade travels by sea. Now imagine something unprecedented. All of it stops. Not for a few hours, not for a few days, but for an entire month. Welcome to Rook. Today, we explore a question that sounds hypothetical, but reveals just how fragile the global economy really is. What would happen if global shipping suddenly stopped for 30 days? Because modern civilization runs on supply chains most people never see. At any given moment, more than 50,000 cargo ships are moving across the world's oceans. Massive container ships cross the Pacific. Oil tankers move through strategic choke points. Bulk carriers transport coal, grain, and iron ore. These vessels connect factories, farms, and consumers across continents. Ports such as Port of Shanghai, Port of Singapore, and Port of Rotterdam serve as critical nodes in this global network. Most of the time, this system works so efficiently that people rarely notice it. Products appear on shelves. Factories receive components. Fuel reaches power plants. But the smooth functioning of this network depends on constant motion. Ships do not simply transport goods. They synchronize the global economy. If global shipping suddenly stopped, the first week might not appear catastrophic. Many companies maintain limited inventories. Supermarkets often have several days, sometimes weeks, of supply. Fuel reserves exist in storage facilities. But the cracks would appear quickly. Manufacturers relying on just-in-time supply chains would begin running short of critical components. Electronics producers waiting for semiconductor parts. Automotive factories expecting engine components. Retailers preparing for seasonal shipments. Without arriving cargo, schedules begin to unravel. Factories slow production. Some temporarily halt operations. Shipping delays quickly translate into economic uncertainty. But the real shock wouldn't come in the first week. It would come when supply chains start to fully disconnect. Because modern economies don't store months of inventory anymore. They rely on constant movement. By the second week, shortages begin spreading through multiple sectors. Automobile manufacturers could suspend production as imported components run out. Technology companies might struggle to receive key materials. Retailers expecting container shipments from Asia would face empty warehouses. Even industries far from the ocean would feel the effects. Factories require imported raw materials. Energy infrastructure depends on maritime fuel transport. Agricultural sectors rely on fertilizer and equipment shipped internationally. The modern economy is not a collection of isolated industries. It is an interconnected web. When one link breaks, the strain travels outward. By the third week, the consequences could intensify. Energy markets would feel growing pressure. Oil and liquefied natural gas shipments move primarily by sea. If maritime transport halted, some countries heavily dependent on imports could face tightening fuel supplies. Food systems would also experience disruption. Major grain exporters such as United States, Brazil, and Ukraine rely heavily on maritime transport. Countries dependent on food imports would face increasing uncertainty. Commodity prices would likely surge. Financial markets could react with volatility as investors reassess supply risks. What began as a shipping interruption would now be affecting essential resources. After a full month without maritime trade, the economic consequences would become severe. Manufacturing slowdowns could spread across multiple continents. Retail shortages would become more visible. Energy prices could spike significantly. Financial markets might respond with sharp fluctuations. Global GDP could take a measurable hit. The modern economic model is built on efficiency, minimizing storage costs and maximizing speed. But efficiency reduces resilience. Without the constant flow of goods across oceans, supply chains would struggle to maintain equilibrium. And restarting them would not be instantaneous. Even when ships resumed movement, congestion at ports could create additional delays. Global shipping depends on several critical choke points. Narrow maritime passages through which enormous volumes of trade pass. Among the most important are the Suez Canal and the Strait of Malacca. Events such as the temporary blockage of the Suez Canal in 2021 offered a glimpse of how sensitive global trade routes can be. Even short disruptions can create cascading delays across shipping schedules worldwide. A full global halt would magnify those effects dramatically. The lesson is simple. Global trade appears vast, but it often depends on narrow pathways. Despite these vulnerabilities, global shipping has proven remarkably resilient. International maritime organizations coordinate safety and navigation. Shipping companies maintain complex logistics networks. Ports operate around the clock. Redundant trade routes exist for many goods. And economic incentives are powerful. Every day shipping stops, billions of dollars of trade are delayed. That pressure encourages rapid solutions whenever disruptions occur. The system is fragile in theory, but resilient in practice. Global shipping rarely makes headlines. It operates quietly in the background, but it is one of the most important systems sustaining modern civilization. Without it, factories pause, energy flows tighten, food markets strain, and the global economy slows. 30 days without shipping would not collapse the world overnight, but it would reveal something important: how deeply interconnected and dependent modern societies have become. Because the systems that shape our world are often the ones we notice only when they stop. If you found this analysis valuable, consider subscribing. Understanding global systems is the first step toward understanding global risk.